So guys, welcome back to RBR. Now, G1 Panamera, or Generation 1, was an ugly duckling, wasn't it? It just did not look right from any angle at all, but Porsche customers still bought it and it sold well because they wanted a car, you know, saloon car, built by Porsche. Luckily, Gen 2 blessed us with a much more handsome car and a much more advanced one in every single regard. And now Gen 3 has come with the sharpest, most muscular looks we've ever had in a Panamera. It is just a damn good looking sedan. Now, you may write this car off thinking it's just a heavy facelift. It's a car that will probably be irrelevant with the Taycan taking over, but you would be making a big mistake, because this car comes in with such a massive change to suspension technology to deal with that main problem that we hate with heavy performance cars, and that is dealing with their weight. And it truly is a game changer in this car. Not only that, the hybrid system has been upgraded in a huge way, and the entire package in the end makes you think that this is Porsche really setting the bar for what a super saloon in the modern day should be. Today we're going to check out multiple versions. The first will be this turbo e-hybrid with the V8, the base model Panamera with the V6. I'll show you the massive changes that they've done to the interior, which are big. So let's dive in and check out every detail of this brand new generation G3 Panamera. So guys, today's episode of RBR is sponsored by Ridge, which is, in the last 3 years of them sponsoring RBR, become my favorite wallet company. I always used to buy those luxury wallets, you know, hundreds of pounds worth of leather with just some logo on it. And these have come into my life since then and just changed the game for me. What I love most about it is how you can fit so many cards within there and it's just invisible in your pockets. That's probably my favorite thing. But over the years, I've changed so many styles. These days I'm using their titanium, which is lovely because it matches the finish of my iPhone quite nicely. I've recently bought their brand new color, which is this cobalt blue, which actually matches my Spider RS, which is why I wanted to go for that. And they have such a range of different finishes now, from like this new wood one they've started. They just started this women's expansion where you've got these really fun and funky flower design ones. And then products like the key case, where you can also manage your keys, so it's everything's smarter and better organized. And I really appreciate that. And plus the RFID blocking technology, so no one can steal your money. The cash strap on here, the fact that the build quality is so solid and you can tighten the screws, etc. over time. I just swear by it and I love it. That's why they've been on the channel for the last 3 years. And that's why I hope they'll really bring value to your life as well. And now's an amazing time for you to get one. They've got their 11-year anniversary and you're going to get 30% off if you go on our link, which is ridge.com/RBR. 30% off a really high quality product. So that's ridge.com/RBR. Guys, a huge thanks for always supporting our regular sponsors, especially awesome ones like this. Now, back to the episode. So guys, our car market at the moment is a fickle place. Nobody knows what direction we are going to go in. A year ago, you could have been forgiven for thinking that the Panamera is on its way out. It's fading into obscurity. The younger Taycan is going to take over. It's the more relevant technology. But today, as we stand, the consumer is making their voice heard loud and clear that they don't believe in an EV-only world yet, and the combustion and the hybrid still have a long life. Luckily, Porsche have always agreed. And with this Panamera, they've upgraded their engines to last well into the future because they still believe in the big combustion engine and how it can still be efficient for our world. So today we're going to check out both of those combustion engines that have been upgraded. But before all that, I love the design of this car. So I want to check out the design with you guys because I think it's absolutely stunning. To really, you know, drive that point home, just look at it versus the G1 Panamera. I mean, what a glow up, right? In the history of car glow ups, this has got to be right up there. I mean, yes, Gen 2, very handsome, and the dimensions of Gen 3 identical to Gen 2 because essentially we are using the same, you know, upgraded version of the shell underneath, the same multi-composite shell. So the dimensions are the same, but this is just sharper. Every body panel has changed. Particularly, I want to draw your attention to some key areas. So if we start at the rear, look at G1. It almost looks like an SUV. You head to G2, much more handsome. Head to G3, even sharper. What's doing that? I think the most key thing is perhaps the roofline. Again, let's go to G1. You see it's very round, it's too big. It looks like an SUV. You come to G2, and it's that much better. Come to G3 and now you've got a sharper line in there. And then the haunches, front and rear, they're sharper than G2. The front end is so much bigger, so much more exciting. And while this is, you know, the most extreme version of the body, you look at the standard turbo body as well, still looks exciting. You look at the base model car, still looks exciting. G3 is really, really aggressive, and I love it. And to really drive that point home, let's get in close and let me show you around this one. So guys, let's now look at the design more close up, because I don't think you can appreciate the sharpness quite as much when you're looking from further away. So now this is our full turbo e-hybrid, as we said, and really that front end, just for a moment, just look at the size of the air intakes. I mean, it's massive, the holes in the front. These parts, the painted parts, are literally just the smallest that they could possibly be, as are the grills. You can see you've got active air panels on the front lower part there, your radiators on the side, and then our brand new, so this is the extra one, they keep talking, want to bring in more air, but that is essentially, that entire section is open to bring in air, and it looks so aggressive because of that. Like it has this giant mouth. And then the squareness then of our front haunches and the lights really make this thing look so aggressive. I think they're right. You have got a bit of 911 in that. Or the lights not at all, but that actual, that, you know, muscularity over your front wheel arches is really, really nice. So I like the front end. I think I like the front end probably more than any other Panamera before it. I love this detail on the side with the side vent, which is actually, it's a lot more exaggerated than the pictures suggest, and it's not a fake one. Look, it is real. This is Porsche we're talking about. They don't do fake vents. The front nose, I think, is my favorite part. Really nice and sharp, really, really angular. You've got a bit of symmetry going on with the light shape and the lower intake shape as well. Just all looks great. Added benefit, they sound bloody good. Listen to that. Oh, lovely. It just sits right with me. It's just a super saloon like this, you know, almost 700 brake, needs to be muscular, and I think this is. The only thing that I hold against it versus Taycan is that the wheel to body ratio isn't quite as exciting. The wheels never quite look big enough, but these center locking wheels certainly do help, which look absolutely gorgeous, and they're finished, in fact, in that turbonite. Let's talk about turbonite. This is that color. It's nice. It's not as grey as you might think. It's actually got a warm tinge in it. I don't know if you can tell that from the camera. There you see the new Porsche badge with the hexagonal pattern. It's not completely grey. It's definitely got a warm tinge in there. And you can see that more against it in the interior. If we head in the interior now, you can see it kind of against the black Napa a little bit better, where it's just a little bit warmer than the black. That is, of course, optional, and there's our fun little entry-exit feature. Active ride, so clever, isn't it? Side of the car, let's talk about the side. So much better than the previous generations. Let me show you the previous generations now. G1, ugly as can be, right? G2, so much better. And now G3, particularly with this rear, I think, where they've made the window line a bit more angular. So this element here really, really helps. And you've just got a more defined kind of rear shoulder. The lights are that much more obvious now. They're kind of carved into it. And you've obviously got the Porsche logo sitting within there. But this big black element underneath the lights, it just helps reduce the bulk of the rear. That alongside the lower diffuser, the whole thing just works for me. With Panamera, they had to reduce bulk in the design, and they really have. They've added enough angularity, they've added enough sharp lines, enough angles. You look at your rear boot lid here, it's seamless. You haven't got any body color on the side of the window panels. So when you open it, look, it's just glass that ends your roof panel, which looks really smart, both open and closed, and that is your boot space. Really decent, actually, even in the V8 hybrid. But yeah, look how good that looks with just a seamless rear window. Very, very nice. The exhaust, again, you got a bit of turbonite in your rear diffuser as well. The exhaust, real exhaust, gorgeous here in a chrome finish. And then you've got your turbonite again in the turbo badge on the rear. That, in my mind, easily the most aggressive, the most sporty looking Panamera we've ever had. So guys, now this silver car has the sports design package, which is actually more expensive, but I don't think it actually looks quite as good. It's got body colored parts on the lower diffuser, which makes the car look fatter. And in my opinion, when you look at the front end, although there's more black and it makes the mouth look larger, I don't think it looks as aggressive as the other car. I'd love to know what you guys think. You have got carbon instead, which is quite a nice look on this, on the lower front splitter as well. With regards to turbonite, it all becomes a bit more complicated whether you like it or not when it's on a monochromatic scheme. So yeah, you've got the turbonite here versus our silver, but does it look as good as it did on the gold? I'm not convinced. I think you almost want to see the Porsche crest on a spec like this. Let me know what you guys think. How about this? Why don't we put two identical colours together with the different faces and see which one we prefer? So guys, here we have both cars in front of us finished in that Madeira gold. On our right here, we have the full sports design package car. And like I said, bigger mouth, more black. I don't actually think it looks more aggressive. We look at our standard turbo e-hybrid, and I think the shape of the flicks and just generally, it just looks more aggressive to me. It might just be me. I'd love to know what you guys think, but here's a nice comparison of both of them together for you. Right guys, now here is our standard car, right? The standard body, this is finished in a volcano grey, and as you can see, you've still got that sharpness within the front of the car here that really makes it stand out against the predecessor, even in this standard base model, because in our previous standard car, it was just a little bit soft. This has still got that aggression even in the base standard body type. Again, on the side, you're not suffering in any way in terms of the design being, you know, less aggressive. It's still got that sharpness, the nice window line. The vent on our front is still there, which looks really great. And I like the strong red light on the back. I think that looks even better than the exclusive tail lights where it's all darkened out. So, and then finally our lower diffuser, which here with the black plastic, you can tell more, say on a white car, where it's a bit more obvious, but it does break up the colour a little bit and make this look even better. Really strong rear end. I think they've done a fabulous job on just making those haunches, you know, a bit more Porsche, a bit more 911. And we've got, of course, the typical characterful rear exhaust, which I'm sure you want to hear, and I will show you the sports exhaust shortly. So the design is great. I think in this generation it's much more like 911, where you've got an evolution over G2 rather than something groundbreaking in G3, but it works. I think it works. But now we need to look at the important stuff, the big changes, and they are all under the skin. Starting with our engines, let's start with our favorite, which is our lovely V8. This has been heavily upgraded. As you can see, multiple areas changed in it, like we saw in Cayenne. The main one, I think, is going from twin scroll turbos back down to mono scroll turbos, which is an interesting change. But it makes sense, because why do you need the twin scroll when you've got a whole hybrid system? It helps the exhaust gases warm up quicker, so your entire warm-up cycle is faster. They've done away with cylinder deactivation as well, because they've got cleverer use of the valve control in order to make the car more efficient than it was before. All of this, like I said, working towards the regs of the future so this V8 can survive even longer. The V8 by itself produces 519 PS, which is interesting actually, because I think that's a bit underpowered, but we will discuss that later. Now then, that is linked, of course, because this is a hybrid system, to an electric engine. This actually sits within our 8-speed PDK, and it's a rotor that sits within a stator without any housing, because it sits within the gearbox. What that basically means is it saves weight, around 5 kg, rather than it having its own housing. And now, instead of being water-cooled, it is oil-cooled because it sits in that gearbox. What does that basically mean? It basically means that it produces more power than it did before. Before it was 136 PS, this one produces over 190 PS just by itself. And it can continually do that. And it will run up to speeds of 140 kilometers per hour continually. So our entire system together gives 680 PS, 930 Newton meters, and a 0 to 60 of 3.2 seconds. So it's a powerful, powerful car. But the cherry on top is that you also get a much larger capacity battery than before at 25 kilowatts. But though it's larger in capacity, it's not larger in size. So it's not taking up more space or being heavier in the car. Sorry, we've got some Panameras flying past. but it gives you much more range, like 95% more than the original car in G2. And we're talking up to 90 kilometers of actual usable electric range, which is going to be a game changer for someone like you and me. We waste all of our fuel on little trips and urban stuff. Now you can use the electric engine for that viably and then switch into the V8 mode when you want to really have some fun with your car. So it's really the best of both worlds. Now it does weigh about 2.4 tons, so it's a heavy old thing, but hopefully that active ride control suspension will help negate some of that. We will get onto that in a minute. Now, one thing I find interesting, like I said, is I think this engine is underpowered. Why do I say that? Because the Gen 2 Turbo S lap record setter in the luxury class was more powerful than this car. Our current Turbo E Hybrid with GT package in the Cayenne is also more powerful with over 700 brake. So I think there's room here for something like a Turbo S E Hybrid, and I really hope they do a GT package car for Panamera at last. Now it's a good time to mention that Porsche have also announced two more hybrids. One is the Panamera E Hybrid with 470 PS, and the other is the SE Hybrid with 530 odd, and both of these use the V6 and that same hybrid system, weigh about the same as our V8, and they have that massive amount of range. These have been the best sellers in the UK in the past with over 60% of sales, and I think again now they're going to do even better because we've got that better range figure. But those aren't the V6s we're trying today. Instead we're trying the base model, and that is our Panamera and Panamera 4. These have been heavily upgraded. Again, the V6 has had a lot of updates to the engine, and it's about 10% better in every single regard. So now they give you 353 brake horsepower and 500 Newton meters, both of them. The difference is in 0 to 60, where the rear wheel drive is 4.8 and our all-wheel drive is 4.5, and that's both with Sports Chrono package. What's nice is that they're lighter than the hybrids. They're around about 1900 kg, which is, 400 kg, potentially 500 lighter, which of course makes a difference. And my favorite bit is that they both get a new sports exhaust system to make the V6 sound really good, and I will show you exactly what that sounds like as well. Now the big topic with Panamera is of course suspension, but it's not just our Turbo E Hybrid and that crazy active ride system, it's also our standard car, where the 3-chamber air suspension of old is gone, replaced with a lighter 2-valve system that can control the rebound and the compression at each wheel, as we saw in the Cayenne, essentially making it better in every single way versus the previous suspension system. So that's great for our standard car. It's already a better car in terms of its dynamics. Then the big change, literally a game changer for heavy hybrids, and that is the active ride system. Last time I was here in Sevilla, I was driving, funnily enough, the competitor of this hybrid car, which was AMG's GT63 E Performance. And while I love the combustion version of that car, I hated the hybrid because it added a load of weight, up to 800 horsepower of I don't give a crap, give me the standard combustion car. I hate this heavy hippo. Luckily for us, Porsche do not deal in hippos. No, this active ride suspension promises to deal with that extra weighty feel that we get from those types of cars. How does it do it? Let me give you a deep dive on this now. Sadly, the internet has reduced this active ride system to a dancing car. That's not what it's all about. Let me first show you what Porsche claims are the result of this system in terms of the betterment. You saw the previous graph. This one shows you what you used to get on PDCC as an improvement. Now, when you add in the improvement of this new active ride system, apparently it improves it in every single regard. So now you're even more on the luxury side and you're even more on the sports car side. And remember, the luxury side is really important for Panamera as well, because for Porsche, this is also their luxury saloon, which is now also available as a long wheelbase in some territories. So it's really important that it hits the luxury car notes as well. How does the active ride system do all of this? Let me show you under the skin. The heroes are these active shock absorbers that each come with their own hydraulic pump, okay? You can see them here as well as the pump, and like our standard system, these have control over compression and rebound, but the difference here is that the volume generated by the standalone pump on each wheel allows for lightning quick changes per wheel of rebound and compression. What the heck does that mean? I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you in real time. Let me take you on this really strange road, and I want you to watch how stable the body is and what the wheels are doing. It will blow your mind. All right guys, now I'm going to demonstrate to you how the active ride can remain completely flat. And I mean completely flat. I've got some really exaggerated bumps here in front of me. And just watch now how flat the Panamera remains. Apart from me jiggling a little bit, how amazing was that? The car remained absolutely like static. All you saw was the wheels moving and the body itself, unbelievable. So that was damn impressive, right? And that is just going on a bumpy road. Then we look at active lane change. And again, we have a car here that doesn't have the system, and you can see how the body is moving as it normally would in a larger car, like a hybrid. And then you have the active ride car, and you see just how stable those same maneuvers are. And it's not just that. We look at accelerating and braking, and you can see when the standard car accelerates, the nose lifts, as we all know, and when it brakes, the nose dips. Look at the one with the active ride. It is stable. And when I did both of those exercises as well, the thing that was really interesting to me is how, as a driver, you're less than worried about those external forces, and you can focus more on the art of driving quick, as we will do on track shortly. So definitely works. On track, we'll see how it is as well. Does it negate that feeling of weight? We will see. So one optional feature in the active ride is a comfort access. Doesn't matter which door you open. Look, other cars do it as well, but how quick did that raise up? It's absolutely brilliant. Look at that. Easy to get in. And then the car comes back down. Don't know if you can see me through the window. I'm looking at you though. Then it's time to get out again. Absolutely brilliant and quick, which is the most important thing. The other great thing is that this system means that you don't need anti-roll bars anymore. They can go. And instead of the 3-chamber air system, which again can go, you have single-chamber air springs instead in here. So again, saving weight, and the whole thing as a package, truly, truly impressive. We'll see more of that later. What does it mean for dynamic driving? Let me show you on this car. So guys, big changes inside Panamera, just like on the outside. Though very familiar, just like the outside, it is definitely a big change, and in line with Taycan, in line with the new Cayenne, and possibly in line with the next 911 as well. Now I'm going to give you a first-person view from the driver's angle, because that's the most important angle for a Porsche. Before that, I want to remind you just how far we've come along in terms of interior design on Panamera as well, because only I can really show you that. So if you look at G1, in quite a zany red interior, you can see those old style vents in the middle. We still have a raised center area in our center console with the large gear lever as well. But yeah, it's not aged that bad. G2 was a bit more familiar to this one. Again, we still do have the thick gear selector in the middle, a lot more buttons than we have now, and I did like having buttons, to be honest. But the screen, etc., in a similar place, and of course we had analog dials for our driver zone. And now finally here into G3, and you can see everything reduced, buttons reduced. Now we have the use of screens, just like we have in Taycan and Cayenne. They're a really nicely done one, I think, in Panamera, just like the Cayenne was. Still very driver focused. If anything, Porsche say it's more driver focused because every main control thing is around your steering wheel. For example, they've moved the gear selector here like the 918 Spider, or like the Cayenne and the Taycan as well. So that's there. Parking button is there. The start-stop button has been moved to this side as well. You've got a new cruise control or self-driving stalk over here as well. And of course our typical sports response mode, drive mode button as usual there. And now a dedicated driver zone that has been upgraded heavily in terms of the digital driver zones that Porsche do in this one. So now we've got something that is much more akin. You see we turn to the 911 style of 5 rings there, which is cool. Much more akin to the new Cayenne in terms of a plethora of different screens available to you. You got navigation screens, full navigation, a really reduced view as well, or you can have the full-on 5-circle or the 3-circle. So nice and customizable. Porsche making good use of the digital space there rather than let it go to waste. Let me draw your attention to the turbonite and to Porsche's new badge, which is really, really nice actually. I like the little hexagonal shapes in there. This particular wheel has the carbon trim, and you see turbonite actually flows further into other parts of our interior as well, including the door handles. Apparently it's in the digital screen as well, which I can't really tell. I'm guessing it's those circles around the rev counter that are meant to be in that shade. Much more impressive than that is the center console and the way all of this is created. It feels like it's built like a tank, like there's no sounds coming out of this at all. You've got this lovely metal trim going through here, through which ambient lighting actually gets quite bright. You can't see it now because it's absolutely blistering out here at the moment. We've got a charging mat in here that actually keeps your phone cool, charges up to 15 watts, and thus allows your phone to charge faster, which is great. Dedicated cup holders, which we love, and some nice storage space here as well. Vents are all a little bit different. It's nice that we have these tactile buttons like we found in 911, and now your vents are digital. So like we had in the Taycan, you just control it by the screen here, and then it will pump out air accordingly. The system itself is the latest PCM system, which has got advanced application of CarPlay, so you'll be able to use Siri to give you, massage and control the ambient lighting, etc., all doable from here. But more importantly, in this e-hybrid, you've got Porsche Active Ride, and you can choose these options. For example, comfort, entry, and height. So that's really cool. And then you can control these other bits in here, which I like. I like the fact that you have control over this suspension system. Of course, your drive select, all the usual stuff, extending spoiler, which still looks fantastic. One of my favorite parts of these cars. I don't know about this passenger screen, man. You have got screen hits, for example, where you can, stream stuff on here. But beyond that, I mean, what is the use for this? The other screen is right here. Not like it's a million miles away. I'm yet to understand the use for this. If anything, it would have been useful just for some extra driver displays, but the driver cannot actually see anything from that side. If I shift the camera here, you probably won't be able to see anything either. So it's a clever system like that. I don't think its full use has been realized yet, if I'm honest. There is a nice place to be. We've got plenty of leg room. This is the dedicated two-seater version where you've got much more bucket seat type seats in the back. You've got your nice soft Porsche pillows here as well, like the houndstooth. Then you've got nice storage area here for your cup holders, which are quite clever. We always like cup holders, so that's nice. A couple of USB-Cs and a dedicated screen here again in the back. This is probably a lot more useful than that passenger screen over there. I quite actually like having that. And we've got some good headroom in here as well. And we have a decent amount of headroom. I'm not sure, I've got a decent amount of space above me. This is comfortable, and of course there is a long wheelbase as well in certain territories, so yeah, comfortable in here for sure. Please also do note, look, we've got 72 kilometers of electric range. It's not quite 100% charged at the moment, so that's going to be really useful when you're doing that urban stuff that we were talking about. So I like it. It's a great update to Panamera. Still got a nice strong center console here. I miss having the gear selector, I think. I'm not so convinced about these. It's always nice to have a gear selector in a Porsche, but alas, this is the world that we live in. They are reducing everything. I'm just glad we have a few buttons that we can still use here and there. So guys, to experience the new turbo e-hybrid Panamera, I've chosen this lovely oak green Neo car, and we're going to head out on the track here, do a couple of laps in Sport Plus to see how does this heavy hybrid feel on a proper racetrack, and then we'll put it into hybrid mode as well, and then see how those new active ride features behave as well. So let's jump in this. You'll find again that cool feature. It never gets older, I love it. Let's head on the track. So guys, new Panamera Turbo E-Hybrid V8. Already you can hear the lovely V8 come to life. First few laps here, it was chucking it down, right? And it was slightly daunting to be driving such a powerful, heavy hybrid, but the car handled it actually really damn well. Now, I would have loved to have driven this car on the road, but it wasn't possible on this particular trip. But let's see, at least, if we can perceive what kind of super saloon is this, right? What I found really interesting while driving this is just how flat this thing corners. Like, I understand that you guys can probably tell that from the demonstrations that we did earlier with this, just how insane the active ride suspension is. But in reality, when you're on a racetrack, that's when you really feel it, because what you're worried about in these cars is that extra 200, 300 kg of the hybrid system just upsetting you. This car sounds lovely, doesn't it? Listen to that. But what the active ride suspension does, it negates those fears. So instead of worrying about how heavy this car is, instead you're kind of focusing on, okay, let's actually try to drive this more dynamically. And this is the issue that I had with every other hybrid, particularly that one that I drove last time here in Seville, which was AMG's GT63 E Performance. Long name, heavier car. That you were just distracted by the fact that this thing is just too bloody heavy. Whereas with the Panamera, you just don't feel it. The suspension is literally magic. You're less worried about understeer, the way that it compensates by dipping in more, using that extra camber available to you thanks to the active system. The steering feels nice and sharp, particularly thanks to having the rear wheel steer engaged with this whole system at the same time. Turn-in is lovely, body control nice and flat. Power, as you can imagine, 680 brake horsepower. Though, okay, let's bring it to power to weight ratio. It's probably closer to, you know, having a combustion car with 610-ish brake, I would guess. Right guys, we've got the straight ahead of us. Let's see what the turbo e-hybrid can do on launch. Thankfully, it's all dried up now, so it should be a pretty representative example of what it can do on the road as well. Got a trusty race box here. Right guys, so we're in Sport Plus. All you need to do is put your foot on the brake and pedal to the metal, and that is it. Let's see what we get. Oh, yes! Oh, that feels good. Fully on the brakes. Decent. 3.1 seconds. That is quick. And there was no delay in the grip there. That felt properly quick. And I don't know if you could tell, there was not that much nose lift thanks to our active ride as well. So all of this helping. But it's perfect for a super saloon. It's perfect for a daily V8 super saloon that you can then chuck into e-power mode. You've got 55 miles of range when you want to do your daily activities, where you really want to save that fuel. Now I'm in pure e-power mode now, chasing this Turbo S down this track. And the car can actually do consistently 140 kms on e-power mode, which is pretty damn impressive as well. And then when you want to go a little bit crazy, chuck it into Sport or Sport Plus. Say you've got this bestial V8 in a, yes, it's a heavy car, but a car with such clever suspension that it negates your fears of having a heavy hybrid. I was really unsure because I'm currently speccing a Panamera as well, just toying with the idea, do I get one of these? And I was unsure about active ride. It's expensive at, you know, £6,500, but God, this is that option that will allow you to choose the hybrid, particularly in performance form, right? Maybe not in the 4E hybrid or the 4S, but in the V8 version, you need to tick this box, because this is what changes it from a fat, lumpy hippo into a proper athlete, as we expect with Porsche. Well, the funny thing is not just that. As we saw, not only does it turn it into an athlete, if anything, it makes it an even better luxury car for those times when you don't want to drive fast, when you're in e-power mode and you just want to take it easy. So guys, that was my first drive of the Turbo e-hybrid. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have, please do like and subscribe to RBR. As always, I hope to get this on the road soon. That's what I really want. That's what you really want. Fingers crossed it happens soon. See you guys next time.